Welcome back, friends. This is Yvonne Davis, your traveling warrior astrologer, and today I am going to be talking about the Pluto conjunctions. So this is titled Pluto Conjunctions Obsession Made Visible. So if you're new to my channel, please subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you always get notified whenever I put out a new video. Now, what we're talking about today is when Pluto is conjunct another planet, whether that's transiting or natal. Pluto is the planet of intensity, and it's the planet that also rules obsessions. And when it's activated in a conjunction, it's much more intense. The obsessions become even more visible. It's like they get activated. And so when astrologers talk about conjunctions, usually the way that they will say it is something like Venus conjunct Pluto or Mars conjunct Pluto when we're talking about transits, because the inner planets move faster than the outer planets. So Venus and Mars move faster than Pluto. So we'll talk about it in terms of the faster moving planet in conjunction with the outer planet, which is a slower moving planet. That's why we would say it Venus conjunct Pluto or Mars conjunct Pluto. That doesn't mean you can't say it the other way, like Pluto conjunct Venus or Pluto conjunct Mars. It's just, I'm just giving you a little bit of the terminology and how we normally speak about it. So you always say the faster moving planet conjunct the outer slower moving planet. And when we see that this Pluto energy gets activated, it gets mixed with that other transiting planet and it gets intensified. So Mars is the planet of war. Now that doesn't mean you're always going to go to war, but obviously we can see that as well. Mars conjoining Pluto, leading to some kind of violent attack, possibly war. So we are seeing that, okay? Now that doesn't mean that every time Mars conjoins Pluto that we're going to see that. Mars makes a conjunction to Pluto every 2 years. But I do think it's safe to say that somewhere on the planet you will see this activated. Now, when astrologers are making predictions, they're talking about the energies. And there are 8 billion people on this planet, so it doesn't mean that every single person on the planet is going to war. I always say the karma is stronger than any transit. And you, in a sense, create your karma. Even if things external to you are happening to you, I believe that we sign up for our karma before we incarnate into this lifetime. We sign a soul contract. The reason why I prefer to view it that way, and I do believe it's true, but I choose to believe it's that way because I think it's more empowering. If I say, I signed up for this karma, I'm taking it on. I'm going to take responsibility for what's happening in my life, even if it's something external to me, and understand why I signed up for this karma so that I can work with that karma, as opposed to feeling like I'm simply a victim. I have no power at all in this situation. So I'm choosing a belief system that is more empowering, because if I signed up for the karma, then I have the power to work with that karma instead of just being a helpless victim. Most times when we see Pluto, we are going to be able to understand very clearly what is happening. And so as an example, when Mars is conjunct Pluto, the warrior planet conjunct Pluto, the Lord of Death, the god of the underworld, we're going to see these themes playing out. And no, that doesn't mean that every single time Mars conjoins Pluto that we're going to see war break out on the planet, but possibly somewhere, because that's the karma that is playing itself out. And it will have repercussions down the line. And in fact, because of the fact that we have such a strong Piscean energy right now, as I'm making this video, we have Neptune in Pisces, which rules Pisces, so it's like a double Pisces, and it's direct. We have Jupiter in Pisces, which is the co-ruler of Pisces, so that's like triple Pisces, and it's direct. And then we also have the Sun in Pisces and the Moon in Pisces. So we have this really intense Piscean energy, especially with Jupiter and Neptune there, because they are rulers of that sign. And so their energy is super magnified when it's in that sign. The thing about this is that there are many, many benefits of the Piscean energy, which mostly have to do with spirituality and creativity, being artistic, sometimes even opening up to psychic abilities. I've done an entire video on the Sun in Pisces, which also, in my opinion, includes the ascendant in Pisces, and talking about the Piscean energy and all the benefits of that energy. But the downside, which every single sign has a shadow as well, is that when the boundaries are dissolved, we go out into this mystical territory, which, as I said, is great for spirituality, psychic abilities, connecting to other dimensions, connecting to other beings, and imagination, fantasy, creativity. But when we lose those boundaries, sometimes people lose touch with reality. And so they may go deeper into their obsession. An obsession can be anything. It can be an obsession with your legacy, an obsession with owning something, like possessing something. You can be obsessed with it. You often see this kind of obsession in romantic relationships. Or maybe somebody gets obsessed with money, or they could get obsessed with drugs. It can be an addiction. It's just something where you are clinging, you're grasping and clinging so intensely that you cannot see clearly the truth about reality, that you are obsessed, and that the cost is going to be so much higher than you ever imagined. And so I'm talking about this on the personal level, people who fall into that kind of obsession and who lose touch with reality. But I'm also talking about anything you're seeing in the world today. This is an example of these conjunctions with Pluto and all that Piscean energy. There is a fantasy about what this is going to look like, and playing out these obsessions and playing it out on the world stage, and not understanding that the cost is going to be so much higher than you ever imagined. And so, the thing to understand is, like, these energies play themselves out. First and foremost, they're playing out the karma and what we signed up for in our karma, and the lessons that we have to learn, because we all have that. We can be going along being very nice people, and then suddenly, boom, somebody's attacking us and we don't understand why, or somebody's obsessed with us and we don't understand why. Like, what did I do to deserve this? That's not actually a helpful question. It's more helpful to ask, what am I supposed to learn from this? How am I supposed to respond to this? What is the most empowering way that I can respond to this? Because the universe is always giving us these lessons. Most of us are lucky that we don't have to deal with the most painful lessons in life. Most of us. Some people not so lucky. So going back to how we deal with this on a personal level, there can be ways to use this energy that can actually be extremely productive. And I think that's important to understand. Like myself, I have actually a very obsessive, compulsive, addictive personality. I learned that about myself at a very young age. And there was a time when it was very destructive, because I didn't understand that I actually had the power to choose what I was becoming obsessed with, what I was, in a sense, becoming addicted to. Once I understood that I can actually direct this energy toward things that are healthy then that's what I started to do. And my life became much, much better because I got obsessed with things that were good for me. If you are seeing yourself in your own life, look at where you are, look at the things that you're obsessed with, look at the things that you're like focused on intensely, and ask yourself, is this obsession good for me? Is this obsession healthy for me? Is it going to have positive outcomes, or is it destructive? Is this a form of self-destruction? And if you look at that honestly, you will be able to see the truth. And that's where something like a Mercury-Saturn conjunction comes in, to help you see things clearly, to get grounded in reality and understand, is this helping or is it hurting? And then move in the direction of obsessions that can actually be good for you, because they can lead to healthy outcomes. So, for example, if you're a health nut, or if you love to, even a workaholic, sometimes that can be an obsession, but sometimes maybe it has some good outcomes. So, like I'm a book addict. I love to read. And that, from my perspective, doesn't really have any negative consequences. So it's fine. I'm going to let myself be a book addict. I love to write. I'm obsessed with it. And I've fallen in love with filmmaking now that I have, now that I have this channel. I have been learning more and more about filmmaking and trying to bring that into my videos. And, these are good obsessions. So the thing about it is that if you can see your obsession, then you can see if it's healthy or not. And see what kind of emotions it brings up for you. Because if you're obsessed with something that's actually making you miserable, are you angry all the time? Are you full of anger, rage, hate, outrage? Are you focused on all the things that are wrong with the world, and it's just like you can't get your eyes unglued from the television and all the destruction and harm and gloom and doom in the world? It's good to know what's going on in the world. That's different than being obsessed with it and letting it feed the worst emotions possible in you. Then you bring your vibration down to the level of anger, rage, hatred, fear, and put more of that out into the world. And the world doesn't need more of that. What the world needs more of is healing and love, joy, gratitude. The best thing we can possibly do for the world is to heal ourselves. And once we heal ourselves, then we can heal our relationships. And once we heal our relationships, then we can go further out into the world and send love and healing out into the world, because that's what the world needs. All right, so I hope that you enjoyed this video, that you learned a lot from it, and that you will take that to heart and take a close look at, what are you obsessed with? Is it healthy? Is it making your life better? Is it making the world better or not? And make some choices based on that. All right, so that's it for today, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye-bye.